We can all stand and rise for the pledge.
A moment of silence after the pledge. Remember, this is Memorial Day coming up, and keep in mind that. Joe, you want to start?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Hello, Diane.
Diane, we just finished the pledge in moment of silence. Before we get into the meeting per se, the acoustics in this room are terrible. So please be mindful of that and keep any noise and comments down. Plus, there's a lot of signage. We are recording from various angles. Please keep them on your laps so that, we're not interfering with the cameras. Thank you. You want to say something, Dee?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to make a recommendation to this body that you allow for public participation, suspend the rules and allow for public participation.
Thank you for the recommendation, Mr. Mayor. However, the agenda has been set to change it, even by adding public participation at this point in time, violates the freedom of information laws. So it's actually illegal to add public participation. The next item on the agenda is possibly amending revenue reduction passed by the Board of Finance on April 9th. I'm going to defer that to number 4, since it's going to be involved with the town budget failing also when we discuss that. Item 3 is obvious, neither budget passed, so that's a moot question. We're going to move directly on to discussion and revision of the operating budgets for the town and the Board of Ed. Before we get into the specifics of that budget, I'd like to give a little history and give some examples of where we are, since this process has been going on for 2.5 months now. The mayor's proposed budget for the town was $48,005,755. Is that right, Olga?
Correct.
Okay. And the Board of Ed budget was $76,332,587.
Correct.
And with the adjusted grand list, since the state allowed the town to change it, what did that come out for a mill rate?
That would have come out to a 4.01% increase in the mill rate.
That's a percent increase. What's the actual mill rate?
It would have been 30.96.
30.966. Okay, that means the total budget was 121. I'm sorry. I want to go to the town council. They proposed for the town $47,905,001, which was a reduction of $100,000 from the mayor's budget.
Correct.
Okay. And on the Board of Ed, they also decreased revenue by 900. No, that was the
Board of Finance.
Board of Finance. Excuse me. The town council proposed town of $76,037,587, a $300,000 reduction.
Correct.
Correct. And same two questions: percent of mill rate increase and the actual mill rate.
The percent increase would have been 3.59, and the actual mill rate would have been 30.84.
30.84. And the budget that was defeated, the total budget percent increase on the mill rate?
2.45.
2.45, and the mill rate would have been 30.5?
Correct.
Okay. The reason I went over this is the first time a budget has failed since the charter was changed. So we're setting precedent here. It's all pretty new. We're going to work our way through it on a slow manner. Since both budgets failed, we're going to work on each budget separately, although they are intertwined and the like. When we get to the Board of Education budget, Superintendent Perlotto's here, board member Wendy Fallenbach is here, and Anthony, Anthony, blocking out your last day right now, Giovanni, with Director of Finance for the Board of Ed. We invited to speak or answer questions if needed. And in that case, we will look over the results. I think most people have seen the results. On the town budget, it was too high by 1,023. It was okay by 2,061, and too low by 1,351. Looking at the advisory questions, to me, that would mean we would have to increase the town operating budget from the budget that we had proposed. That increase would be $100,000 if we put it back to the town council's budget, and the restoring of the $900,000 that we took out from that budget on the revenue side. Does anybody have any questions or amendments, or do they want to talk?
Are you making a motion?
Discussion? All right, technically I should have a motion to discuss. The chair will move to open discussion. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Joe, go ahead. Gloria?
I mean, I'm 100% for restoring the budget. I think you're right. I think even though the majority said adequate budget, if the goal is to move the budget to something that's going to pass, that's fine. It makes sense, right? Increase the town side budget. I strongly disagree with your motion to put the landfill settlement fund money back in the budget, as that is not a use that is allowed within the ordinance for those funds. I understand that our legal counsel has provided an opinion that you can continue enforce an appropriation, but that is not a financial or a fiscal model, right? An appropriation of funds has to be taken within the term that it was approved under. And as our budget is an annual cycle, that annual cycle has expended a long time ago for those funds.
Sir, you want to comment or you want me to comment?
Mr. Chair, I'll let you, then if you would let me afterwards, that'd be great. Thank you.
I had long discussions with the town council, also with the director of finance, also with the auditors, the town auditors. All of the town auditors say that if previously appropriated for use in budgetary manner or tax reduction, what has been previously allocated can be used, can be carried forth, and can be used for tax reduction purposes. And I have to go by their opinion, Joe.
Was it carried in force?
It's not, it's like carried in force. It's not exactly carried in force. It falls to the bottom line, was the term that was used to me, that it was still in there to be used.
Was it carried in force?
I don't know, Joe. No, carried in
Were the
force.
funds taken from the landfill settlement fund and put into the general fund?
No. And that's one of the reasons why basically the recommendation is that it's okay to use, because it was appropriate but never drawn.
Were those funds shown as part of the landfill settlement fund for the period after the appropriation expired?
Not sure I understand the question.
So are those funds still in the landfill settlement fund?
Correct.
When the auditors come and look at our balance, are those funds still within the landfill settlement fund?
Of course, because they were never drawn.
Would a reasonable person assume that that fund is carried and those funds within that fund are controlled by the ordinance that controls that fund?
That's not for me to interpret. Not.
A reasonable person would say that the funds in the landfill settlement fund are part of the fund that was created by the ordinance.
Joe, reasonable people can assume something, but legal opinion is something else again. Not every person that's reasonable understands legal opinions. The same thing with the accountants.
It's part of the fund.
Legal opinion says that those funds are able to be drawn. new money that hasn't been appropriated going forward cannot be used for tax purposes. But what has already been appropriated in the past can. That's the legal opinion, that's the accountant's opinion, and that's our Director of Finance's opinion. I have to go with that.
If I might add, thank you, Mr. Chair. To Olga, when we've talked to our auditors, were they okay with the term that we have the availability to use these funds that we've kind of held in abeyance, but have the ability to use up until the date of expiration of the charter?
Basically, generally speaking, I guess, yes, they did say that if the money was appropriate but not drawn, it is okay to reuse those funds, because it's basically just the timing of the drawdowns that matters. We could have drawn, we didn't, but the appropriation still remains.
Does that happen in any other instance? Could you give me one other instance where that happens?
We don't have any other funds that, we we use in our general fund, and we, there are no other funds the town has that has that type of structure.
I'm
And
still,
that available use. Like,
I'm
we
still
don't have any
failing.
other places to,
Right.
there's no example, basically, no precedent.
Well, the precedent would be that an appropriation occurs in the period for which it is designated, right? And that's one of three basic terms, right? It's either a single-year appropriation, a multi-year appropriation, or an indefinite appropriation. Those are the three financial conventions for an appropriation of funds at a municipal or a governmental level, right? Provided that right, this is what happens in the federal government, right? They have a multi-term omnibus, a 5-year omnibus bill, right? Those appropriation of funds can occur within that period of time that bill is. Once that bill expires, the authority for taxation and appropriation of funds expires with the term of that bill. And being that this is our budget for the town, I would assume that convention still applies at a municipal level the same way that it would at any other governmental level.
Well, we're not federal organization, and I guess basically you just have to decide. We did receive an opinion. It's a matter for the board to accept the recommendation or the available opinion or not. There could be difference of opinions, but at the end of the day,
And thank you, Mr. Chair. To Olga, we do have different types of funds, as you just mentioned. One of them is our operational funds, both on the town side and the educational side. The Waste Management Fund is not an operational fund, correct?
well, I guess it's a special purpose fund.
Correct, but it's not put into our operational fund.
Well, there's only general fund that's considered to be
Correct.
operating fund.
And is that fund, since when was the inception of the landfill management fund?
Well, that goes back, like 20 years ago when it was first
Correct.
established?
So the reason why I bring that up is this is a multi-year, multi-decade fund.
It is a revolving fund. It's governed by the
That
ordinance.
has been established for decades.
With specific usage.
Right. And the specific use expires for using it for tax relief, tax purposes, up until the year, I think it's 2024.
Correct.
And because we didn't draw the amounts that were allowable during those years, that's the money that we can use up until that number has been used, expired. And that's the opinion that we got from our
Yes.
town attorney.
Basically-
And we also have the okay from our auditors. Is that, am I correct?
That is the interpretation.
So I'm not
Thank you.
following that. So I presume that these funds were appropriated previously for the legitimate purposes identified in the ordinance, but not expended for that purpose.
Correct. So you have the ability to draw up to 10% per year of that fund. And we have drawn nowhere near that. In some years, 3 years, we drew nothing. So you still have that availability to use those funds, according to our town attorney and our auditors, for things such as this.
And when the mayor says appropriated, That means it's been approved by a town council, approved by the Board of Finance, and approved at town meeting and by referendum. So those funds have been approved by each one of the governmental approval bodies.
That's the fund overall.
No, with the money we're talking about now, the 900,000 plus, I think there's a little bit more than that. That still hasn't been used, but it's been appropriated.
Yes.
And so this was approved in a prior fiscal year? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not used.
Pardon, Wilbur?
Yes, but not used.
Right, so appropriated for what are the designated purposes?
For this purpose, for budgetary relief.
Well, I don't think it was ever appropriated because it was never taken.
No, it was part of our previous budget.
Right.
For the prior 3 fiscal years, use of landfill settlement fund was incorporated into the budget,
Right?
but not actually
Used.
drawn from.
Not
from
taken.
landfill, not taken.
Never taken.
Exactly.
Is this 900,000 the full amount that has been appropriated but not used?
No.
Okay. Do we have the full amount?
It depends when you want to stop and go back. I mean, it can be calculated, but it's more. I mean, for this particular instance, this is the amount that is recommended for use for this particular, for fiscal year 26 budget.
And that was recommended by town council or by the auditor
Recommended.
specifically?
That was the mayoral recommendation.
So,
And if, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry,
Sure. No,
if I
go
could,
ahead.
so the public could see when you are crafting a budget that we bring to the council and then to you, the Board of Finance, and to the public, who in the end is our boss, you have to look at all sorts of components, right? You have to look at what services we provide, both on the town side, the educational side, how you're experiencing inflationary pressures, how you're looking at trying to make it affordable for everyone. So one of the things that we do try and use is we use all measures to create revenue, to use revenue, whether it be growth in your commercial grand list, growth in property values, and also using landfill settlement fund. And I'll give you an example. So currently, for everyone to see and those watching on TV, right? So right now, what is the mill rate as it would be proposed right now with $900,000 used for landfill settlement? What do you have there as the mill rate?
Well, I'm sorry, to backtrack. So right now what's displayed is the budget that went to referendum and failed.
Correct.
And that budget, as recommended by the Board of Finance, does not have $900,000 use of landfill settlement fund.
Right.
So if we were to keep expenses as they are and add 900,000 back, is that the I don't know why it didn't work. I'm sorry.
Olga,
Yes,
it may be easier to go to the mayor's proposed budget originally
that's,
and take out the 900,000 to show how it affects the mill rate.
well, I
and
guess,
why people want to put it back in.
yeah, well, for this one, it would have been 1.49% increase in the mill rate if we were to put the 900,000 back.
So you can see it's a very big proponent to be able to help our taxpayers and also provide the quality services that all of us, as you can see by the vote that happened overwhelmingly yesterday, the services that our residents demand. So if you have the ability to use this resource to dampen an increase, it's a very good use, which is why it's in the ordinance.
the ordinance specifically expired in 2024.
Correct.
For this purpose.
Correct, but we're not using, we're not using monies from 2024 on. This is monies from previous 2024.
But that was for that fiscal year. And Attorney DeBella at the 127 meeting, before he provided you with the legal opinion, specifically said in that meeting, and you can hear him on the video, that the fund would no longer be able to be pilfered for tax relief. Right?
what he was.
And I spoke to Attorney Jeff Sankowitz, who wrote the ordinance, and he agreed that the funds should no longer be allowed because appropriations don't carry over from one term to the other.
Not to get too much into the weeds, I agree after 2024, which is why we're going to set up a committee to take a look at landfill settlement and uses after. But I think town attorney, also our auditors, agree with the ability to use these funds. And I think myself, it's, as the people could see right here, we're offsetting taxes and still providing the quality services that our residents demand, as you can see with this referendum that just happened overwhelmingly.
Go ahead, Joe, you have more to say, or?
You know what? No, I have nothing left to say.
Does anybody else have anything to say on the downside of the budget? Bring up anything? Any thoughts? All right, hearing none. The chair will make a proposal for the town budget to be $48,005,755. Can I have a second? Brian seconds. Any discussion on the amount of the budget?
Could you just repeat that number, please, Walter?
Sure. $48,005,755. Is that correct, Olga?
So you're going back to May's recommended.
The mayor's original budget.
That is the number.
Okay.
Does that include the landfill settlement fund?
Yes, it does.
Well, that's just expenditure side.
Well, yeah, this is just expenditure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
not revenue.
nothing was
Not
decided yet on a.
The revenue is not reflected. No, the revenue is reflected in that dollar amount because it wasn't removed until the town Board of Finance did
That's the
it.
original amount that he proposed.
So the original amount has that in there.
It's already taken into consideration.
Anybody have any questions or amendments to this budget?
I have a question, Walter. I'm having trouble hearing.
Go ahead, Diane.
Okay, I have a question. It sounds to me as if you just made a motion to amend the town council budget. Is that correct?
No,
No, what we're doing is we have to correct the Board of Finance budget. And my recommendation or motion that I put out there is that we go back to the original mayor's proposed budget of the $48,005,755 that he proposed in February, last week in February when we started the budget process.
And you made a motion to do.
I made a motion that this is the budget.
You corrected the number, or you made a motion to be seconded?
I made a motion that this will be the budget going forward, if it's approved by this council, to go forward for referendum to be voted by the town electors.
Okay, do you have a second for that?
Yes,
Brian
Brian.
Whitfield seconded.
I couldn't understand that.
Brian said.
Brian seconded.
Diane, do you have
It
it?
has been seconded, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Just to clarify, so do you recommend to restore the original categories that were amended by town council first and followed by the Board of Finance?
Yes.
Yes. The recommendation is to take the town operating budget back to what the mayor requested in February. Anybody have any thoughts, questions, or amendments?
I motion to amend,
Your amendment is?
remove the $900,000 from the landfill settlement fund.
Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
There's a second by Joe. We've had an extensive discussion on this. Anybody else want to just opine
I
on
could
this?
not hear the motion.
Joe DiGlorio offered an amendment to take out $900,000 of revenue because he believes it's not a fair use of the land settlement fund. And that's
I will
what,
not second that.
we already have a second from Joe Triano. Diane.
Okay, didn't know that.
Any questions or discussions on this? If not, I'll call for a vote on the amendment only. Corey, on the amendment for removing 900,000,
I vote yes.
you vote yes. Ellen?
No.
No. Brian?
No.
No. Diane, we're voting yes or no on the amendment. She voted no.
No.
No?
Yes.
To remove it?
No. Oh, to remove the 900,000.
He's voting yes for the
I'm
amendment.
voting yes for the amendment.
Gotcha. I'm voting no. And the totals?
Looks like 2 yeses and the rest are no's.
Okay, the amendment is defeated. Anybody else have any motions that they want, or amendments they want to put onto this? Joe?
I just wanted to clarify,
Right.
that's also restoring the $300,000
Yes.
cut to capital reserve that we made also.
Yes, we're returning the budget totally to what the mayor asked for.
Yep. I just wanted that as a,
Yeah.
make sure everybody understood.
Anything that was in the defeated
Yep.
budget is essentially gone.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I need a motion to approve. Pardon? Yes, we're going to vote on the main motion of the town budget of being $48,005,755. Do a roll call vote. Corey?
Yes.
Ellen?
Yes.
Brian? Diane? We're voting on the motion to approve. The motion is to approve the mayor's budget. As,
The main motion. What was the motion?
Olga, you want to say it's easier for you?
The motion is to approve town budget as recommended at the mayor's level, as proposed by the chair.
And
I'll
give
approve
her,
that or second it or whatever it is.
No,
No.
you need to vote, yes or no. It's the vote on the original Walter's motion, yes.
yes. Joe?
Yes.
Joe?
No.
And the chair votes yes. So that,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So the motion is passed by a vote of 6-1. We're now going to discuss the Board of Education budget. That was significantly defeated. The low recommendation, too low, was 4-1 above what the too high was. It was defeated 3,201 to 898, for those who don't know the numbers. I will say this, this was the highest voted turnout for a budgetary that I can remember, and I've been on the chair for, not on the chair, but I've been on the board for a decade and a half, and I think previous to that, it's very rare that it has. It's only happened one time that I know of, and that's when we had the microburst that disrupted the voting then, and then it went back to town council. So the chair would like to put up for discussion a motion to set the Board of Education budget at $76,332,587. This is the budget originally proposed by the Superintendent Perlato and endorsed by the mayor.
Was that a motion that was made?
Is there a second for the
I
motion?
mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's not funny because I can't hear it. I can't hear a thing because there's so much talking going on. Can Olga tell me what just happened?
Sure. Walter has made a motion to restore Board of Education budget as originally proposed in the mayor's recommended budget at the amount of $76,332,587.
May I make a comment?
And 1 second, and it was seconded by Corey. Now you can make a comment.
I would like to second it, and my comment is that I had asked to make that motion. Since I'm not able to make the motion because Walter made it, I would like to second it.
Okay. Thank you, Diane.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, there.
So I want to thank you, the board, everyone here. I mean, really our bosses, which are the public, wholeheartedly came out, said that it was too low, and I appreciate you putting out the recommendation to move forward with the superintendent and mayor's recommended budget for the Board of Ed, and look forward to the discussion and the vote. So thank you.
All right, now this motion is open for discussion and/or amendments. Does anyone want to make an amendment? Anyone want to make an amendment? Anybody want to have discussion? Hearing none, we're going to vote on this motion to be approved in the amount of $76,332,587. Corey?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Ryan? Yes. Diane? Voting on the motion, yes or no? She said yes. Okay. Joe
Yes.
Triano?
Yes.
Okay. B, and yes. I was going to say it's unanimous. Olga, what was that total be?
The total budget will be $124,338,342, which will yield a mill rate of 30.96 mils, an increase of 4.01%.
Okay, so the difference between the budget that failed, which was 30.5, and this one would be 30.9, so it's 0.4 mils going forward.
Correct.
And
Correct.
And Mr. Chair, Olga, can you give rough calculations of what that would look like for, let's use an average tax on a homeowner of $6,600? So what would the average increase with the budget that we have now that was just passed by the Board of Finance, which was the mayor's requested budget, along with the superintendent's for the educational side, what would that mean for the average homeowner that pays $6,600 in property taxes?
It will be an increase of $264.66
For the whole
for the
year?
whole year.
So could you divide that by 12 months?
$22 a month.
So an additional $22 a month provides for all of the services that are required for the educational and for the town services for this fiscal year upcoming.
Yes,
Thank you.
fair statement.
I think Walter, I agree with Walter, I think you should.
Olga, can you read off the total between this again for me?
120, yeah, 124, 338, 342.
124, 338,
342.
342. Okay. The chair would make a motion to advance the both town and Board of Ed budget to the town council for having the town meeting and then setting the referendum date. I have a second on that amount?
Second.
So second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No opposed? Abstain, one abstention. So we have 6 positive, 1 abstention. Budget moves forward.
And Walter, if I,
Yes.
I apologize for interrupting, but just before you adjourn, just so everyone knows now, the town council will meet tomorrow night.
Yep.
The town council will take a look if they agree. That's what the budget will be as proposed, but the big important thing too to the town council is they're going to set the next referendum date tomorrow. It was warned, I believe, June 10th, I believe is what it was, because that's what the registrars had asked us to be for the date. But that will also be live streamed tomorrow as well. And thank you for allowing me to make that announcement.
No problem. Next item on the agenda is motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, Brian, and then second by that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.